Carlos Dave Anime Rave. Kill a Kill. Impressions now that we've seen the whole show. Spoiler warning, there will be spoilers.
Holy fuck, spoilers.
So, she turned into a Super Saiyan, but she's not a real Saiyan because, as we all know, true Saiyans don't need clothing to do it. One could argue that Senketsu had gathered 50 rings and 7 Chaos Emeralds, so... Which is why they were running out of time.
Yes.
You see the ring counter, and it was in space. So my brother Poe, who is sometimes a guest on our podcast, told me that, because he had seen this back when it came out.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, the enemy of that show is Queen Zeal, and she's serving what is effectively Lavos. And not that off, falls to Earth in primordial times, alters its evolution, and then tries to take off for other planets, but gets stopped. Let's just hope that the life fibers don't turn into magic dragons controlled by Shala.
Are we done with the Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross references?
Chrono Trigger. So, Dave, favorite character?
There's too many.
Very well.
I have to say, though, if I had to limit it to only a few, it would be Ryuko.
Mm-hmm.
Mako. And...
You are terrible with names. Who are you thinking of?
Go
on.
No, that's where I lose it.
What's his first name? It's only 3 letters.
I never pay attention.
Ira Gamaguri.
Thank you.
Yes.
The combination of those 3 were probably my favorites throughout the entire show.
I agree with 2 of those 3. I love Mako. I love how she's entertaining and a force for change, and she inspires others to be awesome. And you could see that in Gamaguri, who ended up becoming one of my favorite characters as well. I see why they started with such a heavy focus on him on the very first episode.
Yeah.
Because in a way, he's like our vehicle for growth, right? He's like...
He's always there.
He's always there, and he's warming up to the others, and he changes throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked Gamaguri. He really showed me a lot of depth to his character, a lot of heart, a very dynamic character. Ryuko ended up disappointing me a little bit.
Huh.
I thought she was just the awesomest, coolest protagonist at first. I liked her voice, I liked her look, I still do. But in a lot of ways, like, her growth kind of became... She ultimately became the player character in that she kind of stopped growing and just became their Goku, their force to conquer what was all around them. And then there were times when they tried to add layers to her, and sometimes it worked, like when she's talking about not knowing her father and wanting to know her father better, even though she hated him. But then other times, like when she found out she was a life fiber hybrid, and she doesn't want to wear Senketsu anymore, even though they recently went through an angle where she didn't want to wear them and got over it. That kind of seemed out of nowhere, just to throw her into Ragyo and Nui's hands.
I don't think so.
And then when she snapped out of it, she's like, "Oh, I've been being stupid," which is correct. But then what does she do for the rest of the series? She's just like, "I am awesome. I am Kazuya from Scride. I'm gonna beat some fools." And she kind of turned into Kazuya from Scride. And there are worse characters you could be.
Carlos here. My dumbass meant Kazuma.
But I thought she was overshadowed by Mako, by Gamaguri, by the other Elite Four characters. The guy who used the bamboo sword, Uzu, whatever his last name was.
Monkey.
Yeah, who Nanon always called Monkey. Nanon's voice grew on me a bit. It stopped being as irritating. I'm not sure why. Like he definitely grew. We've got to see him evolve, even if it was just in combat, right? He had his highs and lows. And Satsuki really became a big favorite of mine, because you could see, even from the beginning, what she was planning. So her turning against her mother really... it didn't surprise me, but it was still so cool when it happened. It was like, yeah! But then Ryuko is kind of left in the character developmental dust in a little bit.
Here's the thing. I think that was completely planned out, though. And it didn't bug me in the least because the first 13 to 15 episodes focused really heavily on Ryuko and her journey. Then she had her breakdown phase, which didn't bother me at all, with her saying, I'm a monster, we're the same, leave me the fuck alone. She was, and I even think her mother planned it out like that, and even said that. I've gone back and watched that episode again. The high tones they had going there to wake her up and everything else, that was meant to further destabilize her. So the way that she was there, I'm totally okay with. But the last section of the anime was not focused on her. It was focused on those around her, how she had affected them and had affected the scenario so they could continue growing. So I am totally okay with the last 8 to 10 episodes, taking the focus off of her so much and giving us all the others and keeping Ryuko almost static at that point.
Now, I am totally okay with a protagonist not necessarily being a dynamic character. There are storytellers and teachers who will say, no, that's wrong, and I disagree with them. I think your protagonist can be a static good guy whose convictions and morals and ideologies change for the better the people around them. I'm okay with that.
Goku.
Goku was that for sure. I can think of a few video games where the main character didn't really change, but because they were such a positive guy, they would bring out the best in their friends, right? I'm okay with that. My problem, though, is that we already have that character. Her name is Mako. Mako was that character. She brings out the best in people by being so goddamn adorable. And Ryuko didn't need to be that. Ryuko was introduced clearly as our protagonist, as our vehicle for growth. You could see the change in her in these episodes. For them to just suddenly... It's okay to take the focus off a little bit, but for them to just completely go, okay, her journey's done, let's let her just be the jackhammer while we focus on everyone else, is a little problematic to me, especially since I liked Ryuko up until they started doing that. I'm okay with the character, with the hero having their downer phase. A hero has to have that. I'm okay with that. Hell, you telling me about the whole sound signals destabilizing her further. Okay, so she had 2 downer moments. Fine, okay, I get that. But after that, she was still very static, and she hadn't been at that point. It's like she went back to being just headstrong for the sake of it. And I didn't really see too much out of her. Like, yeah, she didn't know how to react to having a sister, but her dropping her grudge against Satsuki happened almost like that. And it happened because the Elite Four came up and talked her out of it, showing how much the Elite Four had grown as characters. I mean...
Well, also how much the Elite Four was basically the same as her crazy group.
Yeah, as her clique. I get that. They both had crazy cliques.
Here's my problem with a little bit of what you're going on is... The first half of the anime took place over weeks and months. The last 10 episodes of the anime was 3 days.
This is true.
So how much growth do you expect from it? Yes, it's 10 episodes of an anime, but you have to take into consideration the time frame as well. You really do.
I'll give you this. That is true. And the fact that it happened that way meant that they let them... It allowed Trigger, I guess the guys who made this, it allowed Trigger an opportunity to mix things up. This show was not status quo. There was little to no filler in Kill la Kill throughout its entirety. And they did things like, okay, well, if we put Ryuko in junkets and we make her evil for an episode or 2, how do you counter that? Let's throw Satsuki in Senketsu and see how she manages to fight with him, even though she can't hear him yet.
Or better yet, how do we turn Ryuko evil? I know. Let's brainwash her. And I love that little 2-minute segment where they basically just showed us how they changed her by giving her a mother.
Yeah, they gave her a mother. They gave her
They gave her
false memories. And
That
yeah,
was awesome.
you are right. You are right. This is awesome. And you this is one of those things where I see where you're coming from, but I still do, but you're still an asshole. Fuck you, kind of deal. Like it's like, yeah, you're right. How much more is she gonna grow after she takes off Junkets and they're all just ready to attack Lavos?
Yeah.
How much more can they grow? Maybe it's done. One cannot forget that the highlights of the show are its fight scenes, really. But part of why I love Kill la Kill is because, in addition to its flash, it has substance.
Oh, does it ever?
It reminds me of G Gundam in that it's a parody of a lot of things anime does wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But despite being a parody, it totally shits on all these other crappy fucking animes that think they know what character growth and theming are.
Yeah.
And Kill la Kill just shits all over them. Kill la Kill has character growth and theming. So maybe Ryuko not going through that is more me just going, well, she was awesome up until this point, and I guess she's finished her arc early, and now she just has to kind of fight shit off. And it's not like they didn't... This is me agreeing with you here, so give me a moment. And it's not like they didn't...
I need to take it in.
It's yeah. Take it in with life fibers through your anus.
Sure.
Is that what I was going to say? And it's not like they didn't give us other cool moments and growth, like the Elite Four. It's so weird calling them Elite Four. I keep thinking Pokemon whenever they said Elite Four. I'm like, is she gonna raise a Pikachu or what? You know, they gave us the Elite Four. They gave us the always awesome Mako. We got to see depths to the nudist beach characters, to the
which is not
sewing Punisher and the teacher whose names I completely forget. Japanese names and me are just bad. Now, so I see your point. I kind of wanted a bit more dynamic Ryuko at the end, but it is hardly that big a blemish.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it's just that the last 10 or so episodes was within that 2 or 3 day period. And that way, it's like, well, in 10 episodes, I should have a little bit of growth here and there. It's like, dude, 3 days. What the fuck? I mean, it can happen, yes, but it wasn't needed. There wasn't much more for her to grow. She came to realize what she was, what Senketsu was, the fact that they were... How the fuck did I remember that?
Yeah, how the fuck did you remember Senketsu? but fucking you can't remember Ira.
Yep. Well, because I always go by his last name.
Gamaguri. Which is still pretty easy.
Sure. But, I mean, ultimately, no. Kill la Kill as the last half and as a whole, it did, as long as you kept your mind open to things, it did challenge a number of the cliches that are normally in anime. The fan service was there as this is stupid. Yes, they gave it a reason of keeping, minimal skin, touching life fiber, blah, 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 but...
It almost wasn't fan service.
It wasn't fan service. They were showing off how stupid a lot of magical girl uniform changes could be, in the way that it automatically showed off more skin and made them into sexual objects. But they just sort of took that, rammed it into a wall, and said, this doesn't matter.
They kind of did it both on the nose and off. Like, you had early on Satsuki saying, fuck, I'll show my bare fucking breasts. The hell do I care that they see it?
Yeah.
But the show kind of walked the talk in that they kept showing, who the fuck cares? Listen, this isn't masturbatory material. This isn't fucking Senran Kagura, where it's there to, get blood flowing into the old penis. Here, it's there to get blood flowing into the penis because of how awesome it is.
In fact, in the beginning, if you remember when that stuff started happening, I mean, they showed the crowd, taking pictures and being all everything. What happened to them?
That only happened once later when Nanon saved Mako's brother. He kind of drooled over Nanon a bit because...
Okay.
The Elite Four was naked for the majority of the last half of the show.
But
did anybody notice this? The nudist beach outfit appears to be a utility belt and a shoulder
breast
utility
band,
belt,
yeah.
and that's it.
But this is what's awesome is even though both sides did that, it was in no way sexual.
No, that's the thing. Like, the sexual parts in the show were uncomfortable
As fuck.
Uncomfortable in a narratively well done way, in that I get why this messed up bitch is doing this to her own daughters, and I get why Nui is into it.
Yeah.
And I get it, and it was uncomfortable, but I still watch it because I'm like, okay, I see why this is happening, and the fact that this is making me uncomfortable
is good.
Part of what I'll put up on YouTube will not be those scenes, though, because I don't want to get in serious trouble.
Yeah, but where I was going with the intro stuff is, like, I mean, when it shows the classmates taking the pictures and everything else, what happened to everybody in the crowd?
They all got naked at the end.
No, they all got blown to shit away as part of the battle.
Oh yeah, let's talk about plot holes for a second here. Fucking Gamaguri, who I love, is like, fucking Gamaguri's all like, I'll protect all the students in the school, especially the ones I killed. Okay, maybe that came out wrong. I mean, I'll protect all the students in the school, and the ones I killed, just try not to think about them.
They had rules, and ultimately, even with the first kid who got killed, what was the one thing that he said, as far as the secrets? Like, when the guys from
Nudist
Beach were saying, why didn't you join up with us? It's like, the more people who know a secret, the easier it is to get out.
I suppose they were necessary sacrifices.
Also, the Goku outfits were obviously different than normal life fiber outfits, which is a secret she kept from her mother.
That's right.
Because they couldn't be controlled automatically. So,
you're right.
The moment you would allow one of those outfits to get out there, you're fucked because your secret's out.
You're right. I
can't believe I'm defending him killing that kid at the beginning, but good job.
That nameless ass kid, he had a name, but who the fuck cares? No, you know what? You're right. I still have a few gripes about Ryuko, but ultimately I cannot deny what you're saying. And ultimately, who cares? This is the best anime I've seen in a long time.
If not just
goddamn you, Trigger,
one of the best, period.
Goddamn you, Trigger, for making me actually kind of want to watch more animation from Japan. Because it will not measure up.
Here's the big question. Do you want to see a sequel?
Yeah, you could do a sequel. I was thinking about this on the way over here, not quite knowing the ending yet, but the ending doesn't quite clash with any of my ideas of what a sequel could do. Given that life fibers have been around forever, and they only really zeroed in on what was happening in a part of Japan, it is very easy to go, you know what? Somewhere else in the world, someone else may have noticed life fibers, may have developed countermeasures against life fibers, or is using them for some nefarious purpose. And that could have happened in any window of time before this show's canon or during. And that means you could have any number of possible sequel ideas.
Okay. It's more of a side story kind of thing, but would you want to see a sequel, a direct sequel, with some of the same characters off-planet?
I'm not sure if I want to see off-planet, but I think you could show a new protagonist who, perhaps in the vein of strong female protagonist, she will also be female, but he could be male, whatever, who is in a similar situation, like perhaps his relatives or hers has somehow developed countermeasures against life fibers, but they were not able to implement them in time, and maybe this new protagonist has gone into some kind of a depression, and the show starts following this person around. They don't even need to be Japanese. If they want to really be cool, set it the first episode in North America somehow, and hire actual English voice actors to play that character while they're there, and then to bring this character out of their lull and to show the weapon they have against life fibers. Maybe it's nanotech, maybe it's other life fibers woven into their body. you send a threat after them, a threat from old, maybe some piece of Nui survived and starts attacking this place, and this character manages to dispatch her very easily. And they get a goal in mind. They're like, you know what? I will follow my original mission, and that is to destroy all life fibers. And that puts them immediately on a collision course
With Ryuko.
with Ryuko and Satsuki and all the other characters, with the Kyurin and their surrounding cliques. And you could easily bring on another life fiber threat from space that you hint at and is coming, that eventually kind of things gel into that. And that's just one idea.
Yeah.
Another is to have a simple movie where it's like 100 years later and space explorers have discovered a life fiber in space, and maybe it's a descendant of the Curans who has to take up arms against them. There are any number of ideas.
Well, I mean, obviously the life fibers take a long view,
yes,
for instance.
Or you could just leave it at this. You don't have to continue this either.
I'm almost wondering, I think I'd rather see Trigger move on to another storyline, to be honest.
Sure.
Move on past this. It's done. Maybe do an OAV movie sort of thing. But yes, it was obvious from midpoint that you could do more story. With other planets, another life fiber coming to Earth, etc. But I'll be honest, I kind of don't want to see anything else done with these characters because I'm afraid they'd fuck it up. Trigger has done an amazing job, don't get me wrong. But the moment you start adding on to a story that's done, you could fuck it up. I don't want to see that. The
thing is, though,
this has been an amazing show.
This still exists beyond the influence of any sequel. The original Matrix is still a great movie.
Despite its sequels.
Correct. Its sequels, it's not like Chrono Trigger or the Star Wars movies where they went back and added shit to the original to tie them into their inferior sequels, right?
Yeah.
They didn't do that. The Matrix still stands tall despite Revolutions and Reloaded, because the Matrix, they never went and edited the Matrix to tie it into it. So the Matrix, if you watch it and you just stop there, it's still kind of its own thing, right? Let's say there is a Kill la Kill sequel series and it's not as good as this. Well, this is still good.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Actually, we were discussing a new reading system.
We're going to do 2 metrics on this one.
Yep.
We're going to judge it out of 3 pi, and we're going to talk about how much better than Steins Gate it is. Because Steins Gate is horrible, and fuck that show.
So we're going to do it as a baseline of Steins Gate is -1. No, actually, we can't do that for doing a multiplication.
Yeah. It's more. Yeah, Steins Gate is base 1, and for example, I'm just going to come right out and say it. I think Kill la Kill is 350,000 pi times better than Steins Gate.
Wow.
So somewhere over 1 million times.
Yeah, I'm not going to go with a pi metric on that one. I'm just going to say
you don't have to.
About 1 billion times better than Steins Gate.
Oh, wow. Okay, then I'm changing my rating because I didn't think it was 1/10 of what you thought. I also think it's
I'll go with 1 million then, just to be
1 million?
Sure.
Okay. No, you know what? Stay at 1 billion. I'll join you there.
Sure.
It is 1 billion times better than Steins Gate. 1 billion times. And we're probably underselling it a little bit.
Yeah. At a 3 pi, though.
3 pi? I'm going to give it 3 pi minus 0.1 out of 3 pi.
Deal.
You're going to do the same?
Sure.
All right.
I was going to go 2.9999997.
Yeah, stupid strong rating for a stupid strong show. Yeah, this makes me even more excited for when we continue Gurren Lagann, because I think Trigger had some hand in that as well.
I am not a fan of buying subtitle only series.
Uh-huh.
But if this series came out only subtitled, I would actually buy it.
I am still a dub guy. I actually went on YouTube and I compared a few dubs to subs for series I liked dubbed to see if maybe I was just kind of being a little too ethnocentric and maybe
Mhm.
subs really are the way to go. No, a lot of dubs really are awesome, and a lot of Japanese voice actors really aren't as good as you think they are. In Kill la Kill, though, the voice acting is just so impeccable. I couldn't imagine Nui as being anything other than whatever cute Japanese woman was voicing her. I couldn't imagine Mako as anyone else. Some of the Elite Four, you could probably do a good job with others. I'm pretty sure Crispin Freeman would voice a character impeccably, probably either Gamaguri or Uzu. But I mean, this is one of those shows where a dub has big shoes to fill. I would like to see that dub, but I probably wouldn't watch the whole series dubbed again, even if the dub was pretty good. I might want to see key scenes, though, if it's pretty good.
I think I would watch it fully again, subbed or dubbed, say in 6 months. But again, the dubbing would have to be impeccable.
It would have to be stellar.
You'd have to have a sound director that actually cares. So it would have to be done by Funimation.
Funimation, yeah.
Maybe Aniplex.
Maybe.
Aniplex has done some very good dubs here recently.
They have.
But between those two, that's it. No one else could do it.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, is there anybody else who does dubbing anymore?
Probably just those two guys.
Wow. I think those are the only two left.
Whatever company did Gurren Lagann could probably take a shake at it, because we saw the first episode of Gurren Lagann dubbed. It's a really good dub.
Yeah.
So far, anyway. A character like Yoko, I didn't think could make any sense in a language I understood, but no, she definitely did. But this is getting long in the tooth, and ultimately...
Well, we're talking about a whole series here, so that's fine. But no, very strong series, highly recommended.
Highly recommended.
Almost kind of wish that we had done our reactions to the final episode, but I don't know. I didn't want to take away from the episode. I didn't want to stop.
It's okay.
So yeah,
because ultimately, let's let our listeners have their reactions themselves, right?
So yeah, no, definitely highly recommended. Watch this anime because it started in 2013, finished in 2014. While I haven't seen any of the other stuff that has come out so far this year, or ended this year, right now this one stands as 2014's best show.
Sure.
Not anime, not TV, best show.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Great show.
Yeah, this is the Anime Rave. We're signing off.
Yes, I will strap into my revealing outfit and rock it off into this good night. David, you pig in human clothing, welcome.
Garrosh sucks.
Fuck you. Garrosh Hellscream will save us all. Do you think Obama is going to take us to victory against our enemies? I don't think so.
Why do you reference Obama? We're Canadian.
Garrosh Hellscream is the leader we need and deserve. Welcome, folks. We're just quickly talking about the preview that Aniplex put up of the Kill la Kill dub. Now,
we haven't gotten out our full review yet of Kill la Kill.
No. I'm going to be putting this at the end of the series reviews, so it'll be there. By the time people hear this, it'll all be out.
Touche.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Dave, tell me in your own words, without any biases or pressures, how awesome it is that Garrosh Hellscream is Gamaguri.
It isn't.
It is awesome.
No.
Because Garrosh Hellscream...
I can think of many male voice actors I would prefer over...
Okay, you are letting your personal biases against Garrosh, which are silly, get in the way of the fact that he has an awesome, booming voice.
There are still a number of voice actors I would prefer doing the role.
I think I prefer your face doing my fist. Does that make me gay? Does that make me gay?
Yes.
Okay, I got a problem with that. So here's what I think.
Let's break it down by the different characters.
Well, I do have an overall impression before we get to
what's
that.
your overall?
My overall impression, and I suspect the first episode of the series when we watch the dub will confirm it, um, is that they're translating it too literally. Here's the thing, like, there are some people who really don't like dubs. Whatever. There are some people who really don't like subs and they want everything dubbed. Whatever. I'm not going to be an elitist either way, and I think we have shown through our channel that we are willing to watch subs and dubs.
Yeah.
Pretty much down the middle, I'd say. So whatever. The thing, though, about a dub is a dub has an opportunity to leverage the language it's using. And leveraging English does not mean, like, literal translations of the subtitles we were reading when we saw this thing subtitled. When Satsuki came out and said, these are the truths of the world, you pigs in human clothing, I was like, that sounded better in Japanese, because that language is, with its, like, hard syllables and it's almost poetic kind of explosiveness, can carry that kind of line better. English, you have to leverage it a bit differently. You have to say something like, you clothed sheep, or something that's a little more in tune with the sensibilities of the people who are going to listen to it. Especially since pig is kind of a derogatory term for cop, and I have no problems with derogatory terms for cops, but pig means something different. I almost think you need to look at that line and you need to go, okay, this can't be just a literal translation or it's going to fail. And it sounds like someone's reading the subtitle, even with the emotion put into it. What are your overall impressions before we get into the characters?
Well, that line didn't annoy me as much as it did you. I'm not a fan of literal translations. They sound wrong, even when the voice actors have a good sound director. But to see how that works within the episode, I'm going to have to actually see an episode and see just how much it's going to be defined by a literal translation, or if they actually did do a proper job of localizing it.
I think the first episode will tell us everything. I am predicting that it's going to be too literal, and that I'm not going to really want to continue the dub. But I'm predicting that. I will watch the first episode dubbed.
Myself, I'm going to commit myself to the first two, knowing how the anime is, to really give a good idea of how it's going to flow. But something tells me I'm going to enjoy the subtitled version much more than the dubbed.
Yeah, I suspect the same thing.
As much as I don't, and that I do not like the voice actor who does Garrosh.
Hang on, we'll get to that point when we get to Gamaguri, though. Because this is a big point. Literally a big point. So, you want to break down by character now? And of course, we're going to have you name all the characters by name.
No, we're not. Fuck you.
All right. Let us start with our protagonist, Ryuko Matoi. You can't cheat by bringing up the list.
Fuck you. I just did.
Oh, I was going to impress you by knowing all except one person's name.
You know their names.
You should know them too. You watched the show twice.
Ryoko and...
It's not Ryoko. You are the worst. The worst. Ryuko. Not Ryoko. These are different things. Your name is not Divide.
Depends who's saying it. Anyway.
Ryuko Matoi.
Actually, from the trailer, her voice both sounded good and bad depending on where it was in that trailer.
I agree. When she was yelling, when she was being all tough and shit, she sounded right. Otherwise, she sounded a little too young, I want to say. I kind of need Ryuko to have that deep womanly voice I fell in love with.
Agreed.
Yes.
Satsuki.
Okay. Yeah, Satsuki, they pronounce her name literally. Like, I always say Kyurin, even though that's wrong. And they're saying Kyurien or whatever. I like Kyurin myself, but
Mm-hmm.
Satsuki is going to be crippled by a literal translation more than anyone. Because half the show is her screaming, often while nude. So, I mean, the voice is fine, but, it demands,
Respect?
it demands well, of course, she's Satsuki Kyurin, for fuck's sake. But, I mean, it demanded a script that better leverage...
Better localized.
It needed to better leverage the English, and it needs to also leverage the unique awesomeness that is Satsuki Kyurin.
Agreed.
Mako Makanchikoku Koku Koku Koku.
Thank you.
Yes.
You can just go by the first name.
I don't like her voice. I don't like her voice, Dave. I don't think this is one of those things where her original Japanese voice actress is just too talented.
Here's the thing. As important of a character as Mako is to the show, we got one line of dialogue from her in the trailer.
True. You're right.
So,
you're right.
Based on the one line of dialogue, however, no, do not do this. But
they needed to get whoever played Excel to do Mako.
That would have worked.
I think you said this, and
yes,
you're right. This would have been the only reasonable choice.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever voice acted Excel in Excel Saga somehow manages to talk faster than Six from Blossom, which both Excel and Mako require.
So, I'm going to say ugh right now, but I'm going to need to actually have a decent amount of dialogue out of her to be able to say whether the voice actor can pull off the role or not.
And we'll get plenty of that in the first episode.
I mean, why do we get so much of Gamaguri?
Because he's Garrosh Hellscream. I almost called him Helmscream. Is he next? Is he next?
No.
Or next? Ira Gamaguri. Okay, let's be clear about one thing. All jokes aside, Gamaguri was one of the surprise,
awesomeness,
deep, awesome characters of the show, where you think he's going to be a minion, and there's actually quite a bit to him.
Yes.
Now, when I first heard Gamaguri yelling in English, I thought to myself, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. And now that I know it's Garrosh's voice, I'm picturing Garrosh. Now, here's the thing, okay? All joking aside, again, this is going to suffer from a literal translation. I don't want Garrosh Hellscream's fucking voice actor to just read Gamaguri's lines. I want the voice director to go, okay, Gamaguri, the gist of what he's saying is this. I want you to take these lines and Garrosh it up a bit. Because again, this is another advantage of a good dub that improves upon its original material. And I think every dub should at least aspire to do that. If Garrosh's voice actor was allowed to embellish a little bit, he could add that he could add Garrosh's insanity and kind of crazy over the top machoism to Gamaguri, which Gamaguri really would benefit from. If that voice actor was given free reign to bring a little Garrosh to the role, and he only kind of brings it just from sounding like Garrosh, then I think that Gamaguri he might have been the highlight of this dub. Maybe he still will. Episode 1 features him pretty prominently at the beginning, so we'll see for sure there. But yeah, that's what I feel. I feel like I want more Garrosh out of this role. I want to be able to close my eyes and picture Garrosh with Gorehowl leading the Elite Four in the name of Satsuki Kyurin. Ignore the whole human prejudice thing. Gamaguri, thoughts?
It all comes down to that first episode, really. It's going to be held to a lot of scrutiny. I don't necessarily like... Again, there are a number of other voice actors I would have preferred to have done the role. However, I'm going to give him a chance. That's all I can really do.
Sure.
I mean, he can definitely, he still gets out from the trailer. He's getting out the emotion he needs to, and his voice doesn't break like I would expect some voice actors to do under that role. So we'll see.
At least it's not Yuri Lowenthal doing him again.
Yeah.
Not that I hate Yuri Lowenthal, but he's everywhere these days.
Could have been Kristen Freeman.
Okay, Senketsu. I liked Senketsu's voice.
I didn't.
What?
Don't like the voice at all.
How come?
I almost imagine the person voice acting him to be this weak little kid. I expected his voice to be a little bit more along the lines of Gamaguri, where it's
just booming.
Not booming. He didn't really boom, but if they'd have grabbed the voice actor who Shogai no Shana, the guy who played the Amulet, more of a...
What's his name, Dave?
I couldn't fucking tell you.
It's Alistair.
Again, you're better with names.
I'm not better with names. I actually just commit some of my memory to them. You commit none.
No, I don't.
I'm surprised you remember who Shauna is. You know, the firehead girl from that Shauna thing? What's her name? Raquel?
I expected more... I expected a different voice from it. Again, we only got like one line from him, so I don't know.
He does sound different from his original representation.
Very much so.
And this is partly why I like him. If you really think about it, Senketsu is a teenager. If you really boil it down to how old he is, and I'm going to say he generally male pronoun, like he doesn't identify as a gender, but whatever. If you really think about it, Senketsu is as confused and scared a kid as fucking Ryuko is. So him sounding like a teenager, I think is actually neat. That's the one part about this dub that I kind of went, oh, okay, that's different in a compelling way. I kind of want to see this side of Senketsu a bit more. This is another thing a good dub can do, is it can expand on the source material and give us another side that was there, but perhaps not entirely present.
I always considered the two of them brother and sister, kind of.
Sure.
However, that's not what bugs me. Again, we got one line of dialogue from him, and it was during a point where he was yelling, and he sounded like he was just speaking. I think that's what kind of threw me off about that.
He didn't sound like he was just speaking. He was begging her to put him on. He sounded pretty desperate. Again, maybe suffering from the literalness of this translation.
Yeah, again, a lot rides on that first episode.
Who's our next person here? What's his name, Dave? You have it in front of you. I want you to pronounce it.
Ouch.
Anytime now, Dave.
Nope. Go ahead, Carlos.
Okay, so the homeroom teacher.
You can't. No, you're putting me on the spot. You say his fucking name.
I put you on the spot and you never even tried, so fuck you. So the homeroom... I don't actually know. So the homeroom teacher. Yeah, he's fine. He sounds a little tired, but a little kind of in the shadows and a little deceptive. I'm okay with him.
Actually, the 2 words he really said, I was fine with. It sounds like a young gentleman. I'm cool.
Yeah, sure. Who's our next character here?
Nanon
Jakazur. Actually, I'm going to say kudos because she irritated me just as much as the original Nanon. They kind of sound like they took Nanon's voice actor and just taught her English.
Yeah. And
she picked it up fluently and just started voicing Nanon. So, actually... Kudos. Thumbs up. You made an annoying character equally annoying.
I didn't find her annoying.
So annoying.
Gosh, annoying.
Yeah, I would rather have a million garroches? Is that what I was going to say?
Sure. Uzu.
Sanagiyama. Yeah, I like his voice too. Brash Cocky Youth sounds like a Brash Cocky Youth.
Yep.
In his Japanese voice actor, and maybe it is. I don't know a lot of Japanese voice actors' name off by heart. So he sounds like the generic hero voice in a lot of male protagonists in anime. So this voice kind of sounds like that too, but with a bit more of a sinister edge, maybe. A bit more of a cocky edge. Yeah,
Cocky, not sinister.
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with Uzu. With Uzu. The computer guy, that's the one name I never fucking remember. He sounded fine. He was kind of an unimportant secondary character anyway, so the fact that he got nailed just fine is like, okay, great.
Yeah. And then the rest of the rest of Mako's family.
Yeah, the rest of Mako's family. We didn't really see them too much in the
We heard all their voices.
Sure, but I mean, they flew by so fast,
Yeah.
I didn't really get a good impression of them. So all in all, I suspect that after the first episode of the dub, I'm going to go, okay, great effort, but I'll if there's a sequel to Kill la Kill, I'll stick with the subtitles. But we'll see.
Yeah. I really do think, and I'm putting this more on myself, but I will watch the first 2 episodes of the dub, mainly because it isn't until the second episode that we actually get to see the 2 of them fight. That's when a lot of the really good yelling dialogue between the 2 of them happened. To really see the full scope of how things are going to be with the voice actors. But I'm not too hopeful.
Sure, I'm only going to give it 1, and I'm also not too hopeful. I don't think this is sounding like a bad dub. It just sounds like a kind of a dub that misses the point of a dub, which is kind of a bad crime for a dub to commit. The best dubs give you different insight on the same characters. You could compare them to the original voice actor and go, okay, they're different, but we get different angles on this. We get a different side of the character based on how their voice sounds. That's what a dub should do. At the very least,
necessarily agree with you, but continue on.
At the very least, a dub should accurately translate what's being said without being too literal. Leverage the language. Before it changed localizers, Sayuki did a really good job of this. Because they went super over the top in their dub, but they also kept it relevant into the script, right? So, I mean...
Yeah, that was... ADV did the original and then June picked it up, or was it vice versa?
I believe you're correct, but I don't know 100%.
Yeah, because we were really disappointed in that one. ADV did a fantastic job. The first one did a fantastic job.
Yeah, the second localizer went too literal, and that's when you realize the flaws of the original dialogue. And here's another thing a good dub can do. A good dub can take something that had lackluster dialogue and really amp it up.
Yeah.
But Kill la Kill's dialogue, while not great, was also okay.
Fun.
Like, I wouldn't even say fun. I would say it's serviceable for the goings on of the show, right? So, I mean, there was room for improvement, but maybe this is one of those things where Aniplex is fucked no matter what they do, because room for improvement or not, if they change too much, people are going to be like, it's not like the original. And if they change nothing, people will be like, why do I even care it's a dub now? And anime fans are the fucking worst. The worst.
I don't agree with you.
The worst. So Dave agrees with me that anime fans are the worst. And with that, we'll see you next time on the Carlos and Dave Anime Rave.
Yep.
Yeah.